What is up, gamers? Staxwell is back at it again today with another market watch. Get comfortable. This is probably going to be the fattest market watch I've ever recorded. There is so much to talk about. If you could see the top of my screen here, I got like 30 tabs pulled up. So yeah, get comfortable. I'm not going to do any Raid Shadow Legends ads or anything like that. I'm just going to jump straight into the content here. I want to talk about some of the more specific cards, some of the overlooked synergies first, and then we could get into the broader, more generic synergies. So the first set of cards I want to talk about, just a very small set of the cards have been spoiled, right? There's been like 10 cards spoiled, probably going to be like 200 cards in the set. So all of these cards, these three here, all care very much about daggers, hitting with daggers, destroying daggers. It seems like you really want to hit with daggers. So maybe there's going to be like a generic draconic dagger that does something on hit. I have no idea. But you know, being able to give your dagger +3. This one says destroy your daggers and make them hit your opponent. That would be so terrible unless there was some kind of additional benefit to hitting with your daggers, right? So if that is the case, Flick Knife seems very good. Cheapest cold foil Flick Knives on the market is $60 and the cheapest rainbow foil is $35. It is worth noting that ninjas could play Flick Knives. They've never done so, but they might, because this is a draconic ninja action in the middle, and then on the left it is a assassin attack reaction. It's even possible that, you know, the warrior is also like going to wield this generic draconic dragon. Not super relevant with Flick Knives here, but it is, you know, kind of worth noting that not only is it an assassin spec, but it is a ninja spec, all depending on what that ninja draconic dagger does. Moving on, Concealed Blade. Concealed Blade is such a good pickup right now. I already thought it was probably one of the best pickups on the market because of Ira. It's just so good in Ira. Being able to force through your Mask of Momentum triggers, it being a zero-cost blue to pitch for Kodachis, I thought was already just an insane pickup. But now when we're getting another assassin and another ninja that are going to be wielding daggers based off the text of these three cards here, this seems, again, like a no-brainer. Especially when you care so much. This set of the cards that are spoiled, many of them say like if a dagger hits or if a card hits, mark your opponent. I don't think we know what mark does yet. Caring about hitting seems to be a theme here. And if we really want to hit our opponent, a attack reaction that gives us +1 could definitely help us do that. Also, re-equipping daggers from our inventory seems insane if we're breaking them and throwing them at our opponent with things like Flick Knives or things like Blood Runs Deep. This seems like, yeah, just such a home run hit. And it's an Outsider's Majestic. I know I talk a lot about Everfest Majestics on this channel, but if you go to Outsiders and you look at most of the value, because the legendaries are like kind of lackluster in this set, most of the value comes from the Majestics. The Majestics in Outsiders go absolutely crazy whenever they're good. Think Codex of Frailty, Premeditate, Codex of Bloodrot's $20 even now. You guys remember when Down and Dirty was like $20? What's the card that... Ninja card, Ancestral Harmony. Yeah, that was like $20, $30 not that long ago. So Outsiders Majestics, I always have my eye on. And Concealed Blade, I could definitely see going up, hitting that $10, $15 price tag really soon here. Knives Out, I'm a little bit less sure on. It just really depends on what these daggers do, how often you're attacking with them. But giving your daggers +1 at attack reaction speed in a blue block 3, again, does seem pretty good to me. This card's always been quite overlooked. It's still just $1 here. And then, oh, I'm sorry, I don't even think I mentioned Concealed Blade. Concealed Blade is $5, by the way. And then Knives Out is $1. I think these are both really good pickups, especially with how prevalent daggers seem to be in the set. Moving on, I'm pulling up Defang the Dragon here. I'm not going to talk too much about the actual art or the actual text on this card specifically. I really just care about this contract part. I think it's being a little bit overlooked. We all know Arachne's coming. These new forms of Arachne are coming. It's possible that, you know, he's not going to rely so heavily on contract in this new set. I have no idea. But if he does, cut to the chase. I don't know if you guys remember when Uzuri was first spoiled. Cut to the chase jumped up to like $10, $15 for the extended art cut to the chase, specifically the red one. Just having a +3 on a 0-cost reaction that blocks 3 just seems very insane to me. Again, particularly when paired with cards that care so much about hitting, like Defang the Dragon. You're contracted to hit a marked hero named Fang. So if you're able to force these hits through with things like Cut to the Chase, seems very good. Cut to the Chase EA is also only 40 cents right now. Seems like a no-brainer pickup. Excuse me. Moving on to the more generic and obvious synergies that I think most people are talking about. Corrosive Tendency. It seems like we're getting at least one new Arachne hero. I don't really fully understand how these new Arachne heroes are all working, but I know that their name's Arachne, and you're going to want to be playing Corrosive Tendency in the deck. It's not like the most insane card or anything like that, but giving all your assassin attacks go again in a blue block 3 does seem very good when you're when you have a full grip and you're able to present a 5-card hand back to your opponent. Backs Off has also been going absolutely crazy. Cheapest copy on the market is $12 shipped now, and there's only like, I don't know, like 10 copies up here on the market. This is less about Hunted and more about Ira, Zen, being able to play these wax on, wax off package. Zen stage is so good in the current meta. It's definitely possible that the new Ninja will want to play the wax on, wax off package as well. Zen state is just such a good token. And then they also showcased that Marvel Zen State token. I think it's coming in a Judge Pack or something like that. Kind of showing that they like the Zen State token and they might want to lean into that token a little bit more in the future. And if they do, Wax Off could be very good depending on the synergies there. Teklo Core, cheapest copy on the market, is up to nearly $16. Absolutely crazy. People are cooking with Dash.io for sure. Yeah, nearly all the copies are completely gone. It's totally crazy. Moving on, Blade Flurry, cheapest copy on the market is $24. Makes a lot of sense. This new warrior seems to be a dual wielding dagger, like a dual dagger wielding warrior. So Blade Flurry being a 0 for 4 seems like a very obvious inclusion. Tome of the Imperial Flame, cheapest copy on the market is $55. Yeah, Tome's always first card people think about, right? If you say a new Draconic hero is announced, Tome would be probably the first card on everyone's mind. Moving on, Weakest Link just keeps going up higher and higher every time I see it. Cheapest copy on the market is $70, and there's only 2 copies of this card available for purchase at all on the market. I don't think that this has anything to do with Hunted. People probably just need it for the current format. It is kind of worth noting though that Phoenix Flame does get hit by the Weakest Link. So depending how much they lean into that Phoenix Flame synergy, I guess Weakest Link could even be good next set as well, which I think it could be, because when you think about like what defines the Draconic talent, it's red cards and Phoenix Flame and Rupture. Red cards, Rupture, and Phoenix Flame. Those are the only those are the identifying mechanics of that talent. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they lean into Phoenix Flame, and I very much do think that they will. Flamescale Furnace would be the other obvious go-to along with Tome of the Imperial Flame. If you think of Draconic, you're probably, thinking of Flamescale Furnace and Tome of the Imperial Flame. Cheapest Rainbow Foil Flamescale Furnace is back to $85, and the cheapest Coldie is up to $150. Kind of insane, but this is like where it was when both Dromai and FaB were heavy meta contesters, I guess you could say. This card has always been very expensive. We have said time and time again to pick it up. So if you're a long-term fan of the channel, you are eating good on Flamescale Furnace today. Codex of Bloodrot, we did kind of just talk about this. Cheapest copy on the market is $20. I guess this would kind of make sense if you're looking to build a very aggressively slanted assassin, which would make sense that the new Arachne kind of wants to play as, right? The one that is like the adult solitary confinement that gives all your stealth cards go again. Seems very aggressive, very in your face, and giving blood rots and denying blocks from hand by forcing your opponent's hand into the arsenal does seem like a good inclusion into the new assassin. Dust from the Chrome Cavern. This spec didn't really pay off. A lot of people bought into this based off the art and the art of that article we had a couple weeks ago. Cheapest copy on the market is still $17.50. And while we don't have a Draconic Illusionist in this set, I do think it's pretty safe to assume that one of the armory decks coming in the near future, I think there's like 3 early next year, like in the first half of next year. I think it's like May, June, July, all have an armory deck, or maybe it's like April, May, June, all have an armory deck each month. So almost certainly one of those is going to be the new Dromai. I would definitely give this time to cool off before I picked any of it up. But yeah, don't wait until next April, June, July to get all your drill mic cards. I would definitely get them before that. But yeah, just kind of a forewarning. Let it all cool off. Now that everyone knows that this spec kind of didn't play out with this set, they might start selling it to pick up other specs, and yeah, this price will probably go lower. High Octane, cheapest copy on the market, is $15. Yeah, again, people just cooking with Dash.io. I really don't think that that hero is so broken that it's going to warrant a High Octane ban. But I'm sure that that is heavily contingent on what happens at Worlds, right? If Dash.io does incredibly well at Worlds, then High Octane may be on the chopping block, but I just don't think that she will. People like to kind of cope and say she is just really hard to play, and that's why she's not winning more. Okay, well then how did she win more ProQuest the first week than the second week? Dash.io players surely are getting better. The only difference is people are figuring out how to play against Dash.io this week, right? So the ProQuest wins are going down for Dash.io despite her being out for longer and her pilots having more time to master her. Yeah, I think she is still a fine deck, a fine power level, but she's definitely not the best, definitely not warranting a High Octane ban. So yeah, I would buy High Octane with confidence if I didn't already have a playset. Command and Conquer, cheapest white border Command and Conquer is $500. Of course, none have sold for this price tag. I did just think it was kind of funny that Command & Conquer is just gone from the market. This is a good sign. A lot of new players must be getting into the game, must be picking up their Command & Conquers. So yeah, obviously don't buy it for the $500 price tag. It is kind of cool, kind of worthwhile to pull up and talk about, yeah, this game is obviously growing quite substantially. Blood of the Drukai, cheapest rainbow foil Blood of the Drukai is up to $75, and the cheapest cold foil is $150. We did talk about this card several times on the channel as well when it was down to $20. I think it's probably not a good pickup right this moment. Let it cool off a little bit going into Christmas. Around Christmas every year, for every card game, this isn't just a Flesh and Blood thing, cards will hit the absolute bottom for the year. Everything will be very low during Christmas, during this off season. There's not a lot of tournaments. People are selling their cards to buy Christmas gifts. You know, every card market goes down a lot during the holiday season. So yeah, just kind of wait for that on a lot of these cards that have spiked quite substantially. I'm sure the prices of all this stuff will be a lot lower come the holiday season. It does seem very good, Blood of Drukai. I actually don't want to move on from it just yet. There is another card that was spoiled. I don't remember the name of it, but it had the exact same effect as Blood of the Drukai, except instead of when you pitched it, it was like when you attack with it, the next 3 Draconic cards you play this turn cost 1 less. So it does kind of seem like they're going to try and play into this go 3 1-cost attack wide curve that Blood of Drukai likes to facilitate. It's never been good before because there just never was, sorry, my dog's going crazy. There never was enough good 1-cost Draconic cards to kind of facilitate this curve. So that's why Blood of Drukai was never good before. But the fact that they printed that same effect on a different card kind of makes me think that they're looking to change that. Regicide, the extended art Regicide, not the blacked out Regicide, but the one that comes from the pack, is up to $35, which is kind of crazy. But it does make sense. 2 of the new warrior hero and the new ninja hero are both royal, so Regicide seems like a obvious good side deck card into both of those heroes. And since those new heroes are both royal, Crown of Dominion is also going up. Cheapest Crown of Dominion on the market is $71. That's for the cold foil. The rainbow foil has completely disappeared from the market. And while the new heroes, the new ninja, the new warrior are royal innately, it's possible that we get some support that say, like, you know, it's like a Draconic Ninja card. If you're royal, do something broken. And maybe it's so broken that something like FaB is going to want to play Crown of Dominion to get access to that card. Yeah, just new royal synergies in the new set will probably warrant a slot for Crown of Dominion in some of the older heroes, right? Maybe even it'll just be like a generic warrior card that says, like, if you're royal, it's some crazy benefit, and maybe even like Kasai or Dorinthia will want to be royal to take advantage of those cards. So it does make sense that it's going up quite a bit. Again, cheapest copy on the market, $70. Phoenix Flame, this one actually has not gone up anywhere near as much as I thought it would. Cheapest copy on the market is only $35, which I feel like is kind of a steal. Again, what is the defining characteristics of the Draconic talent? Phoenix Flame, Rupture, red cards. Phoenix Flame, of course, helps facilitate the Rupture mechanic. Phoenix Flame is a red card. It just seems like a home run in every way. I still think it's a very good pickup for that price tag. Phoenix Form, the extended art Phoenix Form, is $12. Again, hasn't gone up as much as I thought it would. It was like $7, $8 last week. Now it's only up to $12. I think, again, they're going to lean into this Phoenix Form synergy, or Phoenix Flame synergy. I'm sure we're going to see more pushed Phoenix Flame cards. It's possible that the new Draconic Ninja will have a similar effect to FaB that, you know, really revolves around those Phoenix Flames. But yeah, I guess time will tell. Who knows? Maybe they totally abandoned the Phoenix Flame synergy, the Phoenix Flame identity. I just don't think that's going to be the case. Moving on, Flame Call Awakening. Speaking of the Phoenix Flame synergies, the extended art Flame Call Awakening has almost disappeared from the market. There's only 2 listings here, and the cheapest copy is $20. This one we talked about a lot. We talked about this card for like, I don't know, like 6 weeks straight, I feel like. So if you're a long-term fan of the channel, you're definitely eating good on that one. Moving on, Searing Emberblade. You guys know how every now and then you never see a FaB, you never see a FaB player, but you'll always hear people say like, FaB's actually a lot better than people give him credit for. FaB's pretty good. And you know, whether or not that's true, I have no idea, but I will say Searing Emberblade is probably a big part of it if it is true. Searing Emberblade is just such a good card. If you think about like Ira, right? She like is so good because her hero power, and then the Kodachis, and you Kodachi for 1, you Kodachi for 2. Searing Emberblade kind of just does that all in a weapon, packed up nice and neat. You get the go again, you get the 3 damage for 2 resources. It just kind of does everything you want, and especially if they're printing more 1-cost Draconic cards to facilitate that Blood of the Drakai playstyle, the Blood of Drakai curve, being able to pitch a blue, you know, just play the 1-cost, play the Searing Emberblade. Like, it just seems like a very good 2-card hand. Yeah, I think the new Ninja may want to play this card. FaB may see competitive play when this set comes out. Yeah, either way, I think Searing Emberblade, the cheapest cold foil on the market, is $8 right now. So yeah, I think it could see play. It could be very good. Moving on, Mask of the Pouncing Lynx always was very good in FaB, and it took me a while to really understand why it wasn't as good in other heroes and other ninjas. And really the reason for that is because obviously Zen has Traverse. You're never not playing Traverse. Why is it not good in like Katsu, or why is it not good in Ira? I think it really is just because the Draconic talent, the Draconic identity, being able to go so wide with so many chain links, thanks to, you know, your Phoenix Flame synergies, your Flame Call Awakenings, you know, your double strikes, your inflames, things like that really only exist in the Draconic talent, kind of just enable Mask of the Pouncing Lynx to just go absolutely crazy with Salt the Wound at any point. Not only with Salt the Wound, but with the new one, Tenacity. That's what it's called, Tenacity. So if you're playing against, I don't know, say a Jarl, and they're full blocking you out, they got a lot of blocks on the chain link, maybe they're playing Rampart of the Ram's Head, giving you another card that they're blocking with, Tenacity could go pretty crazy, and being able to sneak damage over the top with something like Concealed Blade, force through your Mask of the Pouncing Lynx trigger, go fetch your Tenacity, and then you know, really come over the top with a fat Tenacity. Seems like it could be good, and for only $2, I think it's worth the pickup. The cheapest cold foil is only $8.50. Honestly, scratch what I just said. I don't think the $2 one is worth it at all. You might as well get the cold foil one. It's so cheap. When FaB was good, this was like $20, $30. It always bounced around there. So to see it this cheap, I think it's a very good pickup. Quicksilver Dagger. This one's probably a little bit more tinfoil hatty, a little bit more, I guess you could say, risky, but not really. It's only $2 for the cheapest cold foil Quicksilver Dagger, and we just don't know how these new daggers are going to work. Maybe they're not innately going to have go again. Maybe it's going to be hard to give them go again. So maybe Quicksilver will find a place, right? Maybe you'll throw the first Draconic Dagger out and find a hard way to give it go again, and then Quicksilver will just innately have go again and just kind of make your combat chains go a lot wider, a lot more effortlessly. There's also a lot of cards that say the next thing is Draconic, so it's possible that you could just effortlessly make this Draconic as well. Either way, probably not going to be played, but I mean, maybe, and for only $2, I think it's worth that risk, right? Worst case scenario, you're out $2. I don't think it's a big deal. Moving on, Grander of Valahai. I don't know how you pronounce it. You guys roast me every time we talk about this card for pronouncing it wrong, but no one wants to say how to pronounce it right. I'm just kidding. Anyway, cheapest copy on the market is $175. This pretty much doubled overnight, and the reason for that was in a keynote presentation, James White said that this card was better than people thought it was. That's literally it. That's all it was. And that could very well be true. You know, that new Guardian Mastery pack will definitely, you know, kind of pull the curtain back and show us a lot more. But why would he say that? If we're thinking about why would he say that, whether or not that's true or not, he said it for a reason. The reason he probably said it is because Seismic Surge tokens are probably going to play a big role in the Guardian Mastery pack. So, you know, we've talked about so many other Seismic Surge cards before. Let's just go ahead and talk about it. I wasn't even going to because it's so long. I was like, let's just save some time. But you know what? I'm kind of leaning the other way. It's so long that now it's worth talking about. I definitely want to talk about Earthlore Bounty. Every time we talk about this card, I think I kind of am like Earthlore Bounty salesman #1, because every time we talk about it, it goes up, and then people forget about it and it goes down, and then we talk about it again and it goes up. But yeah, if James White is saying that, I closed it. If James White is saying that Grandeur of Valahai is good, it must be because of Seismic Surge tokens. If Seismic Surge tokens are good, Earthlore Bounty's probably good, right? Probably Tectonic Plating would be good if he's saying that. Where is that? I'm looking for the card that is like a 0 cost, or it's an X cost. You could pay X to create that many Seismic Surge tokens. It's an expansion slot card from Bright Lights. I don't know what it's called, but you guys know the card I'm talking about. And it's an expansion slot card from Bright Lights. Therefore, oh, here it is, Tectonic Rift. I found it, yes. Expansion slot from Bright Lights always go crazy. You'll hear other people say like, it's an expansion slot card, it's gonna go up. That's not true. That's not true. That's never been true. That's only true with Bright Lights. And why is that true with Bright Lights? Is because no one wants to open Bright Lights, so they have to buy the singles. And the only good singles in Bright Lights for the longest time was the expansion slot cards. So yeah, if Seismic Surge tokens are going to play a big role in the Guardian Mastery pack, it's kind of safe to assume that Tectonic Rift will as well. And, you know, for only $2-3 here for a Bright Lights expansion slot card, I think it's a fantastic pickup. Same with all of the other Seismic Surge token synergy cards, I guess you could say. Moving on, we got on a huge tangent there, back to Wanted. I really probably could have made like 3 videos off of this and milk the content. Spoiling you guys with a long one here. Blaze Headlong, probably the best Draconic card that exists in the game right now. Cheapest extended art is $67. I think people aren't super hip to this one yet. It was $40 before the set got announced, so it did go up quite a bit. But again, one of the best Draconic cards in the game. This is like the blinged out version of it, of course, but I think this was a Rudy promo, so there's not like a ton of them out there. And the card is obviously insane, obviously very, very good. Even for $67, I still honestly think it's a good pickup. But yeah, you know, play it by ear. If you feel like it's going to go down, wait till the holiday season to pick them up. Go ahead. I really wouldn't want to wait on this one too much, just because the supply is just so low for this card. Moving on, Crown of Dominion, the Marvel Crown of Dominion. It was actually $275 when I started this video. Now it is up to $300 again. Everything I said about the other Crown of Dominion applies here. I'm not going to rehash it all. Regicide, the Blackout Regicide, cheapest copy on the market is $250, which is kind of crazy. The highest one that's sold, though, is only for $120. So I see a lot of listings on Facebook and Discord trying to sell this for like $200, $250. But one hasn't sold nearly for that price tag. So if you're a buyer looking to buy, maybe you can reach out to someone on Discord or someone on Facebook and try and haggle a more fair price. But to be honest with you, this is probably the first time that Regicide is actually going to be a playable card. So it is going to be a little bit interesting to see this old, very old promo that's just so rare in a playable form. I don't think it's going to maintain this price tag, but I will be very interested to see where it lands. This is like one of the few times I'm going to tell you guys I don't have a super good read on it. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably going to land somewhere around the $180 range. I also wouldn't be shocked if it landed at $300. I really don't know on this one. I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. Is Regicide, the Blackout, going up or is it going down? I really don't know. Moving on, Breaking Point, cheapest Breaking Point on the market is $80. This is a promo from the TCG player bundle for Uprising. And for everyone who wasn't around back then, that bundle was so bad. It was like $200 or $300, and you got like one box, some blitz decks, a mat, and the Breaking Point. So there wasn't that many that actually sold because like the deal was just so atrocious. I think they did a lot better in their last deal. But I think the card is still a bit underpriced, especially, again, hate to sound like a broken record here, but if they're playing into that one cost draconic attack kind of curve, Breaking point becomes even better with something like Blood of Drakai, right? Moving on, Blazing Yoroi. Cheapest Blazing Yoroi is like $20. And this is probably I always say I like Blazing Yoroi. I think it's going to go up. I always say that about Blazing Yoroi, but I've never been more confident about it now. I've never been more confident than I am about it now, I guess is what I'm getting at. And the reason for that is because, as we know, Blazing Yoroi, while Yoroi is defending on a chainlink 4 or higher, it has +4 defense. So it kind of turns into a husk of sorts. And Rupture only triggers on chainlink 4. So against other decks, they could always just close the chainlink and then start another chainlink. They don't have to go 4 chainlinks wide. But with Rupture, you have to go 4 chainlinks wide. It's not an option to close the chain link. So you're pretty consistently going to get your Yoroi value against any draconic hero that's trying to rupture you. And for only $18, like, come on, this card is actually a steal. And there's not even that many copies of it on the market. I think it's a good pickup. Spoils of War. I think this card, I don't know, why is no one talking about Spoils of War? Why is no one picking up Spoils of War? Why is the chart of Spoils of War only go down and not shoot straight up? This is probably like the best warrior card in the game, like just period. And not only that, but it's a 1-cost card, which I think works out very well, because if you're a totally redline warrior deck, maybe your daggers cost 1 each. That's a pretty safe assumption. So you pitch a red, play Spoils of War, Furnace, and then dagger. I don't know, that makes sense to me. I think it's gonna be a good card. I don't know, it's a warrior card. It's the best warrior card in the game. How is it only $7? I think it's a fantastic pickup. The cheapest rainbow foil on the market is only $12. That all you got? If there's all these daggers and ninjas and two-handed warriors in the game, my phone, Facebook Messenger going crazy, then that all you got seems like an obvious pickup to me. Cheapest copy on the market is only $6. Cheapest rainbow foil on the market is only $10. Yeah, this is always good against ninja. This is always good against dual wielding warriors. Look at that, we have a set with both of them. So it's probably going to be insane. Even like decent against assassins, right? Like stopping those daggers is kind of relevant most of the time, and being able to stop them for free and just draw another card when the combat chain closes, I think it's a very, very, very good pickup for how cheap it is right now. When this card is in meta, this card's like $20 for the non-foil, $30 for the foil. Yeah, I hate to go back to that price tag. Don't miss out on it. Just pick it up while it's cheap. Rowdy Locals, great card if they lean into the Phoenix Flame synergies. If they don't, definitely less good. I think that they will. And even if they don't, FaB is still going to be a good hero. FaB will at least be playing the Phoenix Flame, and Rowdy Locals will at least be good in FaB. I think it's a very, very cheap card for how good it is, how good it's going to be, how much utility it has. Cheapest copy on the market is $2.50, and then it quickly jumps up to like $7, $8. There's a couple cheaper copies down here if you buy multiple of them. But yeah, the card's definitely disappearing. Spreading Flames, cheapest copy on the market is $2. Plenty of them on the market, but yeah, it is pretty safe to assume that any Draconic Ninja is going to want to play Spreading Flames. Again, that one cost Draconic card. I'm just saying. $2. I think it's a fantastic pickup though. Mask of Perdition. I don't know what the new Arachne is going to look like, but if he's anything like, I don't know, there's all these different Arachne variants, but the original Arachne is still going to want to play Mask of Perdition. Seems like a very obvious inclusion, right? If you're trying to mill your opponent's deck out or complete contracts, anything like that, Mask of Perdition seems like the obvious inclusion. Cheapest copy on the market is $2, and the cheapest Coldie on the market is only $80, and that does sound alarming and expensive at first. But when this set first came out, and for like a year following that, this card was $180 and wouldn't move. It was just so expensive for so long that this price tag looks cheap to me, even though, yeah, it's like objectively not, but comparatively it is. Erase Face, every set, they're just making Erase Face just seems like the best card, doesn't it? It's good against Dio. It's good against the elemental heroes. It's good against now Draconic heroes, right? Being able to take away the Draconic talent from all of your opponent's stuff. Turns off so many synergies. Seems like a very good inclusion, a very good card. Cheapest copy on the market is $11.30. Dang, this guy has 45 of them for $14. He's specking hard, but yeah, I do think it's going to be a good card. Uprising, speaking of cards that are ruined by Erase Face, Uprising has always been not the best card, and the reason for that was because it was hard to get the full value out of it, and it didn't really make sense to play it in something like Ninja that could consistently get the full value out of it, because you wanted like your Salt the Wound to hit. And this card didn't enable Salt the Wound. It didn't turn on your Tiger Stripe Shuko. It didn't like really play into your game plan in any meaningful way. But I think it could be good in Warrior, especially when you have if you have two Draconic daggers face up on the field. There's also cards in here that say your daggers can attack an additional time. So yeah, imagine a world in which, you know, this costs 0 and then the Uprising costs 0. Yeah, you could just dagger, and they all get +1. It seems kind of good to me. I don't know. Am I tripping? It's only $1. Cheapest copy on the market, $1. This guy has 68 of them. They're not going anywhere. But I do think, oh my God, I'm seeing this real time. I did not notice that the rainbow foil is so expensive already. I do think it's worth picking up. I think it's a bit more speculative. I don't think that this rainbow is worth picking up, but the non-rainbow, the non-foil, I think is highly worth it. I think the card seems pretty good. Seems like it cooks in the new Warrior. Moving on, Unsheathed. Obvious thing with Unsheathed, the obvious thing is that it says sword attack. So if the new Warrior is not wielding swords, then it's kind of rough, right? Maybe this new set brings support to Kasai, and Kasai will want to play Unsheathed. But I just wouldn't, like, especially because it's gone up so much, I wouldn't be too concerned with Unsheathed compared to most of the other cards we've talked about on this market watch. The cheapest Unsheathed on the market is $16, and the cheapest rainbow foil is up to $20. Take the Tempo card's also another one that I already thought was really good because of Ira, but the cheapest copy on the market is now $3.50, and there isn't a ton of listings before it jumps up to like $5, $6, $7. But yeah, there's plenty on this first one, so there's plenty of time to get into it. But yeah, I just think it's such a good card. I love Take the Tempo. Cheapest copy, again, $3.50. And if you are going to pick up this or anything else we talked about in today's Market Watch, please do so using the TCG Player affiliate link in the description below. A small portion of that goes to help the channel. Cost you absolutely nothing. Slice and Dice. How is this card only $3? Slice and Dice, such a good card. Notice that Slice and Dice says sword or dagger, so I'm a lot more confident in Slice and Dice than I am in Unsheathed. Of course, this is the extended art to red Slice and Dice that I'm talking about. Also, with all of the Draconic cards, it seems like red front pumps are very good, right? For something like, where is it? Blaze Headlong cares specifically about red cards. If you played a red card this turn, this gets go again. So if we see other Draconic cards that care a lot about red cards, like Tome or Furnace, like this is a core identity of the Draconic class, is caring about red cards. So if we see more cards that care about playing a red card before you play that card, then Slice and Dice seems very good. A red front pump that gives you 4 value, enables all of your other stuff. Seems very, very good, very obvious inclusion to me. When Kasai first got spoiled, came out, this card jumped up to like $15. So to see it this low after a Warrior drops is just criminal to me. Rootbound Carrus, the yellow Rootbound Carrus, is $9. This is a very similar price tag to the red one. The red one is also about $9. The big difference is that the armory kits came with twice as many of the red as it did the yellow. So the yellow is technically twice as rare, but not half as playable, right? Because most people that play the reds also play the yellows, it feels like. Feels like if you're playing one, you're playing all 6. I know that's not always true, but yeah, it's definitely not half as playable, right? So just off those numbers alone, you could see that the yellow is probably a bit underpriced. Next time you're at Armory, if you're able to get a choice or if you're able to trade or something like that, trade your red for the yellow. I think it's highly worth it. I think the yellows are a bit underpriced right now. That's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, rate, subscribe, and help the algorithm help me out just a little bit. Later, gamers.